out front of the Hazleton Area High School on a nice day, and it was a nice season for Matthew Cusatis, junior here at the Hazleton Area High School in track and field. He got a silver medal at the state AAA championships. You're also the back-to-back triple jump champion in District 2, won the high jump championship this year, and fought back from an injury. Last season during track season, we were talking about your cooking capabilities. We have a lot to talk about here today, Matthew, but let's start with the state track and field meet. Preliminaries, not the best jumps, but how are you feeling? Take me out the states. How did the day go?
It was actually raining that day.
Yeah.
So the environment was, it was a little warm out, so I knew that the rain couldn't affect me. I had to do my best, but I came into the preliminaries. I actually didn't warm up the best, so that made me a little bit tight, and I didn't get the best jumps I could. But then I made sure, my coach actually texted me. She was on the bleacher, she texted me. She was like, make sure you get a good warm up for finals. I said, okay, so I did my full warm up. My first jump was actually my best jump. My first jump in the finals was my best jump out of all of them. So that's the one that put me ahead of everyone until obviously the end. But I don't know, I was calm, cool, collected. You know, I wasn't worked up that I was like in 7th place at the time of getting to the finals. So I just had to take the right steps to do what I could do, and I landed myself a silver medal.
And from what I'm hearing, warming up very important. I mean, you're saying don't just rush through that. I'm a person who works out, never stretches. That's a very important part of all this.
You got to make sure you warm up. That literally gave me 2 feet on my jumps, just making sure I got my extensional warm up more than just a little slap of the legs and a little high knees.
Talk about going through the track season. You had that injury though. You said it was a few meets. You waited maybe until it got a little bit warmer. What was it like working back from that? Was it different than anything else in your career, or was it kind of just the same thing? Just being patient?
Well, I went through about 3 or 4 weeks of rehab, and that was where I really worked. I had to do everything right, do everything. I couldn't slack on anything. There was no missing reps. I was doing everything to my full potential to make sure I was able to come back to play in the season. And then I had maybe about a week of practice on the track, and I was right there in my first meet against Crestwood. I was actually not jumping at that time. My first 2 weeks back of track, I didn't jump. I only did sprinting events. So I did all right in the sprinting events. Like I can't even say that. I didn't do too well in the sprinting events. So then it was shaky. Like my coach was thinking, oh, should we shut it down? My father was thinking, should we shut it down? Then the next meet I came back, it was ESU Invitational, and I did all right. So they were thinking, you know what, let's give it a shot.
When did you start jumping then?
It was the second to last meet against Pittston. From that injury, because I was at 0%. I wasn't walking for 2 months just to get back to where I was. It was just hard work.
Someone like you who does 3 sports, how hard was that, not being able to be mobile? Is that challenging going through that?
I mean, showing people, it wasn't like, to other people, I would show myself as, oh, it's all right, like, I'll get through it. But to me, it was like, dang, like, I can't walk, I can't do anything. All I wanted to do was just go on that court, play basketball at the park, run around, do something. But it was all right. I knew I would get through it, and I just had to work hard, extremely hard when I got back.
What did you do all that time with downtime? What were you doing?
Playing video games and, well, actually, I ended up going to the gym. I'll work out my upper body, no lower body, obviously, but I'll be in the gym hobbling around my crutches, working on my upper body, because it's the least I could do, stay active.
Do you ever feel pressure knowing that? I mean, I remember interviewing Coach Gunderman last season, and he said, look at this board here. Here's Matthew's records from junior high, and he's all-state football. I think he's the best athlete in the area. Do you like hearing that, or do you feel some pressure from that, or none of the above?
I mean, it's nice to hear it. It's definitely nice to hear, but I wouldn't flaunt myself as all that. I'd keep those things to myself, because obviously there's other athletes working just as hard as me. I got to work even harder to be where I want to be.
Why do it all? I mean, just the love of athletics. I mean, it's got to be busy, man, doing football and playing that at a high level, basketball as well. I mean, how crazy is your year usually?
It's very hectic, 3-sport athlete. I was kind of born into a sports family. Yeah. So it was always just my brother played sports, my father played sports, so it's just like I was born into it. It's just for me, it's a regular thing. 3 sports a year, always busy with sports, make sure school, practice gets done. That was just regular for me.
What are you interested in school? I don't think we talked about this last time. Do you have a favorite subject, favorite anything you're doing?
Right now, my favorite subject is U.S. government.
Okay. Why is that? Why'd you get really into that?
I just like history. That's something that's interesting to me. Like, I can't sit and look at a board, look at a bunch of numbers. That's not interesting to me. Learning about real world stuff, things that happened in the past, that's what's interesting. What's
one of the most interesting moments of history that you've learned about, you think?
I'd say it has to be like World War II. I was very interested in World War II. All the different countries involved, all that was just interesting to me. All like the millions of people fighting for our country. It was crazy to me. I was very interested in it.
As someone who studies history, as people look at the history of Hazleton area athletics, how do you want people to remember Matthew Cusatis? How do you hope I know you have another year, so there's more of the story to write, but how do you hope people, even up to your story now, how do you hope people look at you?
I hope people look at me as a good athlete, but not only a good athlete, a good person. I treat everyone with respect. I'm polite. Hopefully no one says I'm a bad person, but I do good in school. I'm nice to adults, nice to everybody else, so that's how I hope people look at me.
Well, I wanted to ask you too, last time we did chat, you talked about chicken Alfredo, I believe. You still cooking? You learn anything else? How's that going?
I'm definitely still cooking. I've been into like more so breakfast and desserts lately. That's what I've been baking.
Nice. What you been making for breakfast?
Like some cinnamon toast crunch French toast. That's something good I made.
That sounds amazing. And this is why I love interviewing you all the time. So summer plans. I mean, you're gonna take it easy a little bit. You'll also be training, I guess.
Summer plans. Now it's football time. I'm gonna be at some different camps around the east side of the country. Football every day. Those are my plans, pretty much.
Last question, take me to the moment. You have everything happen at States, but you're on the podium. Went from no medal in your sophomore year, you have a silver medal around your neck. What was that like?
It was exciting. Of course, I wanted to be on the top of that podium, but it was exciting being on that podium. It's different. Last year, I was on the bleachers looking at the guys on the podium. Now I was one of them standing up there.
What did your brother and your dad say?
They were proud of me. You know, I had my head down. I was solemn about it. You know, I was sad, but they were picking me up. They were like, "You got second place in the state." So that's obviously a really big accomplishment that some people would die for.
Well, Matthew, I appreciate your time, like always, as we cover this wide range of topics. It's like 90 degrees outside of the Hazleton Area High School, so thank you for your time. Looking forward to this interview next season, and football season as well. Look out for Matthew Cusatis. He's working hard, finished second in the state at the AAA level, doing the triple jump. Sports on SSPTV News is brought to you in part by the Lehigh Valley Health Network and MMI Preparatory School. Come see what they have to offer during their exploration days. You can also schedule a visit with their admissions director. Call 570-636-1108, extension 136, or email admissions@mmiprep.org.